Hi, I'm AVresk, and welcome to my MSW Capstone Project. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about this creative piece that I've made, how it relates to values and competencies, theory, and my specialization in social work. And finally, I'll tie in my personalization of my creative piece. Let's begin by showing you the creative piece that I've made. So I have built and decorated this ladder to represent how I see social work and health and where I fit in social work. So looking deeper at the meaning of a ladder is made up of many parts that are connected and dependent on each other. It needs regular maintenance and to keep functioning well, and provides a path to a second destination. When you look at the ladder, you see many pieces that make up the whole. All the individual pieces in the ladder have been designed and crafted to make the whole piece function as one whole ladder. If you laid out the pieces individually, they wouldn't be quite as functional as they are when they're put together. When you step on that ladder, each piece is being used to support the others in the functioning. If one piece is not there, you do not have a stable, sound structure to step on. To keep the structure stable, the ladder needs regular maintenance and updating, and safety checks to make sure that there aren't any hazards. If you're going to use the ladder, there shouldn't be any damage or missing pieces. All the instructions for use should be easy to read and accessible, and should be on secure footing with even ground. As I will embellish later, this is where I see my role in helping to maintain the health system and the maintenance of the health ladder. You can see that the pieces are connected, relying on one another to get to the next step. When you step on one of the rungs, you aren't just using that one rung to support you, but all of the pieces in the ladder are working together to carry the load. As in life, when a person uses a social support, all areas of the person's supports need to be interconnected and working together to accomplish meaningful goals. The ladder is also a representation of the path to reaching a goal. If the goal was at the end of the ladder's functioning is key to achieving that goal. If you think of the ladder as trying to overcome a barrier, say a stream or a tall wall, and at the other side is the goal, this ladder is the path to getting to that goal. Professionally, this can be interpreted as the ladder of health, with health for all being the main goal that we're trying to reach. If you imagine a missing piece, say the posts were not connected on one of the rungs, the barriers or goals may be difficult without the regular maintenance of this ladder. Considering all these aspects, it's very much related to the values and competencies of social work and how they all work together. All of these aspects represent my understanding of how social work works, and each of these pieces has meaning, but together they hold a greater meaning and representation of what social work means. I've realized that these values and competencies are all intertwined. In any given situation, there are many values and competencies at play. While practicing the value of pursuing social justice, let's say, they may also be exercising competencies such as engaging in research and critical thinking, and they cannot be done without one another. During my placement at the Waterloo Wellington LHIN, I worked on the health equity planning portfolio. In my part of the project, I was tasked with improving the health equity reporting tool that is completed annually by health service providers. On this project, I used many values and competencies. To name a few, the values of pursuit of social justice, service to humanity, then the competencies of enhancing diversity by addressing structural sources of inequity, engaging in research, and engaging in organizational and societal system change. By changing this reporting tool, I was indirectly improving the health standards, as the health providers would have to change policies and procedures to meet our expectations to receive their funding. Like the ladder is made up of many interconnected parts, social work is made up of many values and competencies that are all dependent on one another. Each one can be crafted and perfected, but in practice, there are many usually at play. This program has guided me to see social work in a new way. The theory of social determinants of health has been pivotal in helping me to see where social work fits in the world of health. Specifically, the article Canadian Facts by McConan and Raphael, 2010. This explains that people's health is affected by social factors that are outside of the individual's control. Basically, health outcomes are shaped by these social factors more so than lifestyle or medical treatments. The latter's characteristics are also like the social determinants of health. If a person's health was a ladder, the determinants are interconnected like the pieces of a ladder. If one is struggling in one area of their life, there are likely other aspects that are going to be affected as well, impacting the overall integrity of their health. In a situation where someone has unstable employment, income might be lower, and perhaps maintaining stable housing may become a problem. Working on maintaining their health from the social supports perspective will help to maintain the overall health of the individual and the integrity of their health ladder. On a larger scale, this ladder could represent the health system, where the stakeholders are the working parts of the ladder, moving towards improving the health ladder of all people. When I read the social determinants of health theory, I notice these determinants such as housing, income, early childhood, race, gender, to name a few, are all areas of social systems. These upstream systems that are meant to improve quality of life, in fact, impact the health outcomes of people. This thinking that improving access to housing will give people a chance for better health in an approach that is closely related to social work values and theories. It considers the inequities in society that impact one's health and urges the health system to look at these social factors to improve health. I recall discussing with a classmate the idea that I hadn't realized how social work was so much a part of the health system. I gave the example that prior to learning the determinants, I would say that a school social worker was a position in the education system. While this is still true, when you see that early childhood experiences in education are living conditions that determine our health, it's clear to me that this school social worker is also an important piece of working towards building that health ladder for all people. When one of the major areas of social work is disconnected or non-existent, the whole health ladder is incomplete. And this brings me to my specialization, ladder maintenance. While I don't have a specific topic of interest, I realize that I have a macro view of social work issues. I have found in the past that while I'm sitting with a client, I couldn't help but see clearly that the client's challenges is a larger system issue, not just something in their individual lives. My big question is, what are the barriers and weaknesses in the system stopping people from achieving their health goals? And how can I change those? I've experienced these issues in the system firsthand. In my placement, I shadowed the home and community care workers. I met 2 women in need of long-term care services, and because one had more access to income and wealth with the support of her family, she was able to access a preferred retirement home, while the other lady was moved from a short-term placement at the dementia-specific home, which was more appropriate for her, to a regular long-term care home. In this case, the inequity based on income resulted in 2 very different outcomes for these ladies. It's these health inequities that drive me to the improvement and maintenance of the system from a social work perspective, because the social worker perspective brings specific skills and values to the table that other professionals may not. Like the ladder, the system needs regular maintenance and updating to keep it working to achieve that common goal. This is where I see myself fitting in the field, using the values and skills I've learned to bring that important perspective. The health system is huge, and endless pieces constantly moving, but my goal is to ensure in the best way that I can that the system that I work in will have policies, procedures, values, and visions that match those of social work values. And finally, this ladder represents me as a social worker. I've personalized it to match personal aspects of myself. Throughout the program and my practicum, I've had many discussions with supervisors and classmates about the importance of confidence and trusting your own vision. By personalizing this ladder, it's a way of me taking a risk in putting myself out there. The things I've included are an A for my name, Amanda, the heart, to remind myself why I decided on social work for my career path, these flowers to remind me of my growth and my continuous growth in the future. And I've included this quote, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." The quote is a reminder to stay courageous, strong, and keep pushing outside of where I may feel comfortable. I'm reminded of how some of the best learning personally and professionally, was when life was uncomfortable. To conclude, this ladder represents my understanding of social work and where I see myself fitting in social work for the future. It represents the interconnectedness of different aspects of the profession to achieve quality health that is accessible and fair for all people. The ladder is the values and how they interact with one another. And these values lay on top of the representation of the health system and acting together. By working on the health system and applying these values, this is where I want to be in the health system and where I want to put my energies into the world to make it a better place for everybody. Thanks for listening.